Hi friends, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be finishing up the pot holder that we started in my group down a country lane over on Facebook. And here is the pot holder that I've finished. I've quilted it and we are ready to put the binding on it. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to show you how to do that. So anyway, you're going to need needle and thread, and I'm using the quilting thread by Coats, the hand quilting thread. And the needle that I'm going to use to attach the binding is just a Sharp's needle. And whatever you're comfortable with, because these layers are going to be, pretty thick. You're going to need something, kind of long to go through those layers, and especially if you're just starting to quilt, you're going to want something a little bit longer. So, let's get this out of the way. Now, you need a little pair of thread snips for your thread, and of course, as I said, your pencil. And then I have already cut the binding. You're going to be cutting your binding to a 2.5 inch strip across the width of your fabric, and I have already done that, and there's what it looks like. Okay, and we will get this out of the way. And as I said, these videos on how to mark your fabric and how to cut and all that stuff, they will be linked below this video, and I'll also put them over in the group and on Facebook, so you can find them over there as well. Okay, we'll get that out of the way. You're also going to need some pins. And now here is your binding. It's the width of the fabric. Okay, and so what you're going to do is fold this in half, wrong sides together, and you're going to press this all the way across. And when I get that done, I'll be back. Okay, I have my binding folded in half and ironed, and this is the width of the fabric, of course, and it'll be about 44 inches long, the strip will, and that's going to be enough to go around your pot holder. And then I've just cut the selvage edges off of both ends here. And I didn't want to leave those on. And now what you're going to do is take your ruler or your seam gauge, whichever one you are going to use, and just line your 1/4 inch mark up with the outside of your fabric, and then you're going to mark this all the way across on the raw edge. Don't want to mark it over here on the folded edge. You want to mark it on the raw edge, and then when I get this strip marked all the way down, I'll show you what to do next. Okay, you are going to also need to make a loop to hang your pot holder. And what I've done is cut a 2 inch wide strip, and I've cut it 5 inches long. And then I folded it in half, just like that, and I pressed it with my iron, and then I folded this side in and this side in to the fold there, and I pressed that, and then I folded it over and pressed it again. And I want that handmade look on my pot holder, and so I'm just gonna stitch with my white thread here. And I've got the knot in my needle here, or in my thread, and we're going to come up not quite about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge here, your folded edge, and then we're going to take some little running stitches all down through here. I've finished sewing the little hanging piece here, and now I've stitched on both sides here of this. You don't have to, I just wanted to. And then, of course, this is going to be folded, and I'm going to put mine in the center here, and when we put the binding on, I'll show you how to do that. Now let's get started with the binding. Okay, for the binding, you want to pin your binding to your pot holder. And I just want to mention here, when you pin this binding, you don't want to bend your pot holder. You know, you don't want to roll it back like this, because you see what happens. These layers are no longer even. If you want, you can put a basting stitch all the way around, because that will help keep your layers together a little bit better. I'm not going to, but as I said, you can if you want to. Now, I'm going to start my binding. This is going to be the bottom of my pot holder here. And so I want to finish up my binding down here at the bottom. And so I'm just going to start down here. Okay, when you start your binding, you're going to leave about a 3-inch section that is not sewn. You're just going to start about 3 inches over, and then you're going to start sewing, doing your back stitch all the way around your pot holder. And then at the corners, I will show you what to do. I'm going to start stitching my binding on, and I'm going to come up on the underside here, just like that, and I'm going to do back stitches. Okay, and these stitches are going to be longer than 1/8 of an inch, because, you know, as I keep saying, this is really thick. Okay, and I'm not using a thimble. You can if you want. Okay, then just do a back stitch, because that back stitch is going to hold your binding on there better than the running stitch. And you can see these are kind of long, and that's fine, because this is going to hold really well. Okay, so when you get to the corner, I'll show you what to do there. Okay, I've got my stitching done all the way over to here, and down here at the corner, what you're going to do is you're going to stitch within 1/4 of an inch of right here in this corner. Okay, you're not going to go all the way to the end. You want to stop right here, and then you want to take a stitch out toward the corner, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, you see right there, I put a dot there, so I'm going to stop, and you know, and if you put a dot there on all these corners, about 1/4 of an inch away from the end, that's going to help you. Okay, now do a little back stitch right there, just like that. Okay, now come back up right in front, just right in front of that back stitch, and then you're going to stitch here over right toward the corner. Okay, just like that. Put you a stitch over like that. You can put a couple of stitches to where that is going to hold. Okay, now you want to take your binding and fold it back, and this is going to be at a 45-degree angle. Then you're going to take your binding and you're going to fold it here, and you're going to make it even with the edge here. Okay, now grab your needle, and that 1/4 of an inch away, come right back up right there, and start your stitches again. Make sure everything is lined up. Okay, now through here you may have to do a few stitches. Now I'm going to put a couple of stitches in here in the same place, just to make sure that is secure. just like that. And I got my stitches crooked, but that's all right. As I said, you're not going to see that anyway. And of course, practice, practice. You know, you'll get better all the time. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead doing my back stitches all the way down to this corner, and then I'll show you one more time how to do the corner, and then I will come back and show you how to finish it off. Okay, now I have sewn down. I've followed my 1/4 inch line down to this corner, and I'm going to show you here. I'll show you one more time what to do here. Now I'm just doing some back stitches, and guys, you can expect to get your fingers toughened up doing this. If you do much hand sewing, you're gonna pick your fingers a little bit, and you're gonna get calluses. Okay, now I've put a dot here, and that just tells me that I need to stop right there within the 1/4 inch from the outer edge here of the corner and the seam here, or the cut edge. Okay, just make sure that you keep all those layers as even as you can. And let's come down here and come out right on the dot right there and do a back stitch right there. Okay, and then let's just do another back stitch right there in the same place. Okay, let's go out just right on the other side of that stitch, and then you are going to take a stitch toward the corner at a 45° out this way. Okay, you want to take a little stitch right there, and then let's just come back here and do the same thing again. Take another stitch just like that. Now I'm about to run out of thread here. Okay, now remember, we are going to fold our binding at a 45° angle, just like that, and then you want to fold your hold up here right at the top there. You want to come up here and line this up. Sometimes it can be a little fussy, but just work with it till you get it right. Okay, just like that, and line it up. You can pin it again if you want to. Make sure everything's lined up, and then you're going to go around and do each corner that way. Okay, we have our binding sewn all the way around, and I've come in here on this side about 1 inch down here, and I've stopped right there, and I've just tied off on the back, and I'm going to show you how to put this together. You're going to open your binding up, okay, and we're going to put these together, right sides together, but they don't go this way. You're going to turn it this way. So you can see here how this is unfolded. Just unfold this one and unfold this one, turn this one just like that. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit hard to work with, but it's going to be worth it in the end. That binding is going to look really nice, and I'll show you here. Let's just put a pin in there. Okay, just like that. Now put a pin up here. Line everything up as evenly as possible, like that, and then you want to put a pin right here as well. Okay, now what we're going to do is sew from one corner here, from this corner over to this corner. This corner here, we're going to sew over to this corner, okay? So we're going to make a 45-degree sewing line right here. And as I said, now you're going to have to kind of fuss with this a little bit to get it straight and get your line, your sewing line through here. And when I do that, again, I'll start right here at this corner, and I'm going to sew all the way over to this corner, making sure that everything is lined up. When I do that, get that finished, get that line in there, that sewing line, then I'll come back. Okay, now guys, I have my stitch line from the corner here of this piece all the way over. I've sewn over to this corner, okay? And as I said, this is a little bit hard to work with. Now we are going to cut this about 1/4 of an inch. My stitch line is here, and yes, it looks crooked because of the way I'm holding it, but you're going to cut your fabric about 1/4 of an inch away from your stitch line all the way across, okay? Just like that. And just be careful with this step, okay? Now you're going to fold this just like that, okay? And now we're going to finger press this a little bit in here, and okay, now let's trim this up a little bit right here. Alrighty. Now there is our line, our 45 that we have sewn, and I snipped that just a little bit too much right there. Let's see, let's go ahead and straighten it up just a little bit. I can take just a tiny bit. Okay, that's better. Now we are going to sew from here right on down to this seam line here. So let's go ahead and get that done. Now we are ready to put the hanger on, and we're just going to come back here. Now I'm going to put mine in the center top, and I'm just going to center that, just eyeball it, and I'm going to go by this line here. Put a few stitches in there to make sure it holds, but the only weight that's going to be on this is just the pot holder itself, so a few stitches in here should be fine. Okay, now we are ready to fold our binding over to the back side and start stitching it down. And we are almost finished with this pot holder. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to sew around, and I'll show you how to do that. So now right here is the hanger that I have put on there, and I'm going to start about here. Okay, I'm just going to fold the binding over just like that. Okay, and we can put some pins in there. You don't absolutely have to. And we're going to get started stitching here. Now, let me show you how to stitch the binding on. Okay, you're going to come right under the binding here, and you're going to take a stitch in between the layers, in between the fold here. You just want to take a stitch like that, and that's going to hide that knot, okay? Now, you're going to go where your thread came out here, you want to go just right on the edge of your binding here, and then you're going to go straight down into the fabric, your backing fabric, and you're going to take a stitch out about 1/8 of an inch and you're going to come right back up through your binding, really close to the edge there, just like that. Okay, let's get rid of this pin. Okay, let's see here. Okay, now you're going to go straight down from where your thread came out here over about 1/8 of an inch or so. A little better than 1/8 of an inch would be fine. And take another stitch. Okay, and then you are just going to do that all the way around. And I'll show you what to do when we get down here to the corners. Okay, so let's get this lined up again here. Okay. Push that all the way over there, right down in beside where the edge of your raw edges are in here. Okay, and then this side is just going to fold over like that, and it's going to meet this side. Okay, I'll show you here. It just comes in here and it meets right there just perfectly. Okay, and then let's just keep going. Now you're going to come out right here where those meet. Okay, you're going to put a little invisible stitch there, is what I like to call it. Okay, now you're ready to just go right on down, stitching your binding on. And so when I get to this corner here, then I will come back and I'll show you again how to stitch that. Okay, I'm almost around to the second corner here, and I'm going to stitch down here, and I'm going to show you again how to do the corners. We're going to fold this piece over. You're going to bring it right down, right against the raw edges of this side, just like that. And then this piece just folds over like that. Okay, and then you want to just hold that there until you get a couple more stitches in here. You're going to bring your needle up right in this corner right here, just like that, and then put another little stitch in there like that, and that just holds that in place. Okay, let's just go right back down there. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit, just like that. Okay, you want that to meet nicely right there. Okay, now you're just going to continue on around just like this until you get all the way over to the little hanger here. And then I'm just going to stitch this up here. I'm going to put a couple of tacking stitches in it to just make it, you know, stand up that way. And when I get this done, I'll come back and I will show you the completed pot holder. Okay, the binding has been sewn on the pot holder, and I'm going to show you here on the back. I just took a couple little tacking stitches on the side. Then I just ran my needle in between the layers here, and I came out on this side, and I just wanted to show you here. I'm going to finish this off, and I just catch just a little bit of the binding fabric and just come up through here on the little hanger, and let's do just a couple of little tiny tacking stitches. just like that. And those are pretty much invisible too. And then right there where those stitches are, just make that loop, bring your thread through it and pull tight. And then let's do it one more time, like that. Now, go in here right beside these stitches and come out somewhere down here in the binding, just like that, so we can hide that thread. And we're going to snip right there, and so there is the pot holder. Okay, now down here's where your binding went together, and you can see there you don't have any big thick spaces here where your binding goes together. This just makes it look a lot nicer. And so anyway, there is the pot holder, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this project. Now, the more that you practice this, the better you're going to get. Okay, if you know, hand sewing is something you enjoy, you can just practice. It's been a lot of years since I've done much hand quilting or piecing, or you know, by hand. I used to really enjoy it back in my 20s and 30s, and you know, it's been a long time though since I've done any of it. But if you did enjoy this project, drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about it. You can, you know, leave some comments over in the group on Facebook as well. So until the next time, you guys post your photos when you get finished with your pot holder. Of course, there's no hurry, just whenever you can get to it. I know it's a busy time for everybody, but when you get to it, I would love to see what you guys have done. So anyway, until the next video, you guys take care, enjoy what you're doing, happy trails.